Hello health champions! Millions of people have received health benefits from apple cider vinegar, and a lot of you have asked, is it okay to use another vinegar, or does it have to be apple cider vinegar? So today, we're going to clear up all of those issues and talk about the pros and cons of each coming right up. If you want to truly master health by understanding how the body really works, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. So to compare the different kinds of vinegar, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Benefits of apple cider vinegar. Quickly look at the benefits first. So the first benefit, which has been thoroughly documented and researched, is that it increases insulin sensitivity, it reduces blood glucose, it helps with weight loss, it reduces A1C, it lowers triglycerides and cholesterol. The second set of benefits are digestive improvements. Because of the acidity, the digestive tract depends on acid. So when we don't have enough acid being naturally produced, then things will work better. If we add some, we can digest proteins better. Minerals can only be absorbed in an acid environment. We have antimicrobial properties. Some of the pathogenic bacteria are sensitive to acids, so when we lower the pH, then they're killed off. Bile is released in response to acid, and so are also pancreatic enzymes, so there's a lot of digestive function that depends on proper amounts of acid. The third set of benefits is that apple cider vinegar contains some enzymes and bacteria. There's some residue called the mother, the sludge at the bottom of the bottle, that has some of this in it that could potentially act as probiotics that could help balance our biome, our gut bacteria, and in doing that it can help the overall digestion, because if we can make the whole environment healthier down there, then you can improve digestion. It can reduce leaky gut, and because leaky gut produces food sensitivities, if we can heal it, then we reduce those food sensitivities. And we improve food tolerance, we can reduce inflammation, and when everything is working better now, we can also absorb the food, because we have to have a healthy gut in order to have the proper surface area to absorb those. How is vinegar made? Nutrients. Now, is there a difference in how it's made? If we want to make apple cider vinegar, we start off with apples. Obviously, we add some yeast, and the yeast start eating the sugar in the apples. They ferment it, and they turn it into ethanol or alcohol like in wine. Then we add some bacteria, and the bacteria will consume the alcohol and turn that into vinegar. So all along the way, there's some microbe that is consuming a resource and transforming one thing into another. If we make white vinegar, the process is very much the same. We start off with grain or corn or rice, sugar, whey, potato, whatever starchy sugary resource that is the cheapest in that area at the time is what they've been using. But then the rest of the process is identical. The difference, though, is when you make apple cider vinegar, you typically end up with some sludge called the mother in the bottom of the bottle, and you leave it there. In the case of white vinegar, whatever you have left in the form of sludge, you filter it out, and then you pasteurize it. So whatever potential benefits that we have with that mother, they have now been removed if there are some enzymes and things in there. And then, of course, the pasteurization process will off any bacteria in there. There is, however, one more way to make vinegar, and that's by using ethylene, which you can derive from natural gas or petroleum products. So if they're cheaper at the time than these, then that has been favored in some areas. And now you can take that ethylene into vinegar in an oxidation process using metal catalysts. They're using things like palladium and copper. And that, of course, is a completely different animal, because in both of these cases, it's a biological process. We have living organisms, we have microbes that are consuming a substrate of value, whereas here it's just a purely chemical transformation. So here's a biological, and here's an industrial process. Now, in most countries, if the vinegar is intended for human consumption as opposed to cleaning or some industrial purpose, then for human consumption, it has to come from a biological process. But there are some countries that don't make that distinction, so they can sell you vinegar for human consumption from any of these processes. Then which one do we go with, apple cider vinegar versus white vinegar health benefits? Which one has the most benefits? Well, the research has been done on how it improves insulin sensitivity, but the research doesn't specifically mention apple cider vinegar. It talks about vinegar or acetic acid and all of the benefits. They don't really know the mechanism, but they know that vinegar and acetic acid does produce insulin sensitivity, and that doesn't exclude apple cider vinegar because obviously apple cider vinegar has acetic acid in it. The next one has to do with the digestion based on the acidic properties, and this has not been researched by itself. But we do know enough about digestion and physiology that we have very good reason to believe that the acidity is why it works the way it does, and a lot of the digestive benefits are because of acidic properties. The third one is how the digestion might be improved based on enzymes or bacteria contained in the vinegar, and here we basically have just guessing and anecdotal evidence to go by. We do know that vinegar can contain some enzymes and bacteria, but we don't know to what extent they are useful or beneficial, what difference they make. So when we look at apple cider vinegar versus white vinegar based on insulin sensitivity, then both of them are basically equal. We have no reason to believe there's a difference. When we talk about the acidity, then again they're going to be equal, because it has to do with how much acetic acid do they contain and what is the pH. But the third one is where there is a difference, because the white vinegar is filtered and pasteurized, and it's guaranteed to remove all the enzymes and bacteria. So in this sense, apple cider vinegar would have more benefits, even though we're not sure exactly how much benefits those are. Is apple cider vinegar better than white vinegar? Which one you pick in the end is pretty much going to be up to you. As far as benefits, we would say that they're either equal or possibly that the apple cider vinegar would have some additional benefits through the enzymes and the bacteria. But it's hard to quantify how much those benefits would be. The second factor would be costs, because you spend a few dollars for a quart of apple cider vinegar or a few dollars for a gallon of white vinegar. Since you don't use a whole lot of either one, it's probably not going to be an issue for most people, but it could be a consideration for some. Third thing to consider is the flavor, and that just boils down to which one do you like better. And if I was to put my own 2 cents worth, then I would say that the less altered it is, the better. So I would definitely opt for the apple cider vinegar in most cases, except where I think the flavor is more suitable with white vinegar. And some kinds of cooking, the more I study health, the more I see that the more we leave things the way they are, the less we interfere, the less we process it, the more microbes, the more natural life that we allow to be in there, the better off we are. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to learn more about how to get truly healthy and how the body really works, I think you really enjoyed that video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment.